The same azure sky stretches over the coast and the superb Provencal countryside behind. As we leave the coastline and move inland, we're struck by the sheer beauty of nature blending earth and water. The emerald green waters of the Verdon River surge angrily from the Verdon Canyon, a place of inexpressible splendor. The Verdon Gorges are carved out of the heart of the Provence wilderness, bearing witness to a mineral past which has left its scar long before the arrival of mankind. At the entrance to these monumental gorges stands the village of Trigance, once dubbed the guardian of the Verdon. All the Christian myths seem to converge here on the Romanesque church, with its multicolored tiles and dedicated to Saint Michael. Or else on the tiny votive chapels, relics of the religious history of Provence. The orders of Malta and of the Temple have left a profound imprint on these barren rocks, and to the traveller strolling through the village, it will seem that time has stood still, leaving behind only the knights of yore and genteel ladies which now people our imaginations. The village of Trigance is heir to a long medieval tradition, built here on this eagle's nest 800 meters above sea level and dominated by a centuries-old fortress, the Chateau of Trigance. Mr. Thomas, good day. Good day to you. We're in a very medieval setting here at the castle. Tell us a little bit about the castle's history. Well, very briefly, it was back in the 4th century that monks from the Saint-Victoire Abbey in Marseille started laying the first stone. This was the beginning of stone construction. Before that, they'd used wood, and the monks made their appearance as early as the 9th and 10th century. And thereafter, it belonged to the Templars, but mostly to the knights from Malta. It was one of the castles that provided the most knights of the Order of Malta to Provence. Thereafter, we had the Counts of Provence, well-known families such as the Castellans and the de Bandol, and at the time of the Revolution, the castle, with its very rough construction dating back to the 10th century, was abandoned. It became a stone quarry. The stone was used to build the houses in the village. And then we arrived in 1970, myself and my wife. Stone by stone, we started to rebuild this fortress, transforming it into a relais and chateau, a gastronomic stopover where we have a young chef with loads of talent and imagination, I must admit. And over the weekends, if you want to book here, you have to book in advance, especially if you need a table at the castle. I'm going to show you how to make a very simple dish. It's a parcel of marinated Norwegian salmon with fennel and with fresh vegetables. For this, we need a Norwegian salmon, some fresh vegetables such as carrots, leek, fennel, some button mushrooms, a few small tomatoes, as well as some salt from Guérande, ground pepper, dried fennel, fresh cream, and a knob of butter. Now all you need to do is to ask your fishmonger to remove a fillet, like this, and then your carrots, and then the leek. It's better to keep the white stem part of the leek, the fennel, and you remove the center core, which is not good for consumption. And then cut this into very thin slivers. And then carrots. And then you take the salt, preferably from Guérande. The purpose of the salt is to marinate the salmon. That is to say, the water in the salmon will come out, and the water will then be perfumed by the vegetables and will go back into the salmon. And this will give us a delicate result with a very pronounced flavor. You add the dried fennel for taste, and you always add a pinch of sugar to salmon. This gives it extra unctuousness. Take a length of plastic food film, and you place the salmon on the film, like this, and then you take the small vegetables and you continue chopping them very finely. Use a chopper, it'll be much quicker. And then you place the small vegetables on top of the salmon. The coarse salt permits us to extract the juice from the vegetables, and when in contact with the salmon, it will perfume the salmon. Then we cover all of this with a plastic film, like this. And then you leave the salmon in the fridge for 48 hours. And 48 hours later, this is the result. And the vegetable flavors have penetrated the salmon, and they are cooked as well, and the salt has cooked them. And we can see there's been an exchange of flavors. We now remove the vegetables, like this. And using this special knife, you remove thin slices. Like so. And you need about 2 good slices per person. Nice slices, about this thick. Now we're going to stuff the salmon slices with a mushroom and leek preparation. So you keep the white part of the leek, and they need to be simmered very gently. Don't forget to season them with salt and pepper, very gently. And you add some fresh cream. And there you have your mushroom and leek preparation that we'll now leave in the fridge. Keep the green leafy part of the leek cut into strips, and we'll use this for the parcel. Now you bring some water to the boil to blanch the leek greens. You place a little of the mushroom and leek preparation onto the salmon, and then you roll it up to make a little parcel like this. And then you cut out some strips from the green of the leek, and you have a little packet like this. This is a dish which is very easy to make, and as we're in Provence here, you can always add a dash of olive oil for decoration, as well as for the taste. I think it's a long journey into the past, and people imagine themselves to be lords or fine ladies. You know, it's actually quite extraordinary to find oneself in a dining room dating back to the 10th century, with its really primitive and rustic stone structure. This type of structure can be found in places like Balbec, amongst others, but in France there are very, very few of them. And there are also the bedrooms. Yes, this was a medieval stopping place, and you're in a typically medieval fortress, and each bedroom is different. They've been soberly decorated with a 4-poster bed in each room and antique furniture in most. Should we want to come and spend a weekend at the castle, tell me, what is there to do in the region? Oh, this place is fabulous. It's made for nature lovers. Firstly, you have the Verdon to visit, with all the water sports available, and there are various hikes and trails to do, and visits to the Templars' chapels. It's a place really which is made for dreaming, for contemplating and getting away from it all. That's what it's mostly for. The first thing to do is to make a tour of the Verdon Gorges, which are out of this world. And then you must visit Moustier, which is the capital of the porcelain industry. It's an outstanding place with a small village that nestles against the rocks. And then you can visit neighboring towns like Castellane and move down towards Draguignan and visit the market there. You know, these places, they're all amazing, and they're all typically Provençal. While crossing these magnificent but barren lands, we understand why it's impossible for this region to separate the land from man and history. "30 kilometers from Trigance, we find the village of Moustier-Sainte-Marie, backed up against an imposing limestone cliff. As the capital of porcelain, this little town is proud of its origins, which date back to the 5th century. It achieved its peak in the 18th century and then declined with the availability of porcelain coming from the north. But recently, the Chinaware makers have reopened their workshops, and the craft industry is coming back into its own. And we find all sorts of shapes, colors, and even aromas, all typical of Provence. Porcelain is, of course, the flagship of this industry, but it's not the only one. There's also pottery, textile prints and basket work, and of course, lots more. I'm going to show you a dish that's typically Provençal. It's called the loin of Alpil's lamb in a fresh herb crust. For this, we need some small vegetables, for example leeks, carrots, courgettes, and a cucumber. For the herb crust, we need a few slices of stale bread, a clove of garlic, a shallot, a knob of butter, some parsley, fresh thyme, and a few small tomatoes for decoration. Now for this recipe, I've removed a slice from the leg of lamb. I take the fresh herbs, and with a knife I chop them up. And a detail which is very important, for the lamb to be digestible, remove the center from the garlic. And then the same for the other side. You chop up the garlic very fine, so that it's not unpleasant to the taste. You need a persillade, a mixture of garlic and parsley, like this, of an even consistency, and then you add the shallot. You mix it all well together. And you place this mixture, this persillade, onto the leg of lamb. And then using some roasting string, you roll the slice of lamb like this. You heat up the butter, and you begin to roast this small leg of lamb. Meanwhile, we're going to prepare the vegetables. Using a peeler, you cut it into long strips, or tagliatelle, like this. Same thing with the cucumber. You remove the skin, of course. And you continue this operation. And you move on to the leek. So I'm going to now cook the little vegetables. With a little bit of my persillade, I put it into the pan. My lamb is almost ready now. I'm going to allow it to stand for a little bit, so as to tenderize the meat. And I now place the vegetables into the boiling water. And this is the result. Now your vegetables are still al dente, nice and green. And then you place them in the remaining persillade.
de sel
some salt,
et de poivre.
and some pepper.
Ensuite, nous allons rouler le petit gigotin.
And now we're going to roll the
Vous
lamb
ajoutez les herbes
in the
restantes
breadcrumbs,
que vous mélangez. Vous retirez la ficelle du petit gigotin.
and you remove the string from the lamb,
Vous passez celui-ci dans la chapelure.
and you roll it in the breadcrumbs,
Et vous le repassez
and
30 secondes.
you
au four
place
très
it
chaud.
back into a very hot oven for 30 seconds.
Ceux-ci sont restés très croquants.
Now the vegetables have remained al dente,
D'ajouter un jus.
so there's no need to add the
Parce que
juice,
le fait d'avoir des légumes
as the crisp
croquants
vegetables
donne un bon
gives you the
produit,
result
un produit
that you
très
want.
goûteux.
Very tasty.
Nous retirons le petit gigot.
We now take the little lamb out of the oven,
Un peu de thym frais
a little fresh
pour le
thyme
goût.
for the flavor,
Voici le petit gigot.
and here is the small leg of lamb in a fresh herb crust with vegetable tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle de légumes frais.
Nature here appears to be so barren, and yet provides a profusion of products from the land. For many people, honey is something they associate with Provence, a concentration of all the aromas that one can find here. The aromas are also a gift from Mother Nature. The whole countryside is strewn with lavender fields, shedding their unforgettable perfume into the air.
Well, I think this is a beautiful place to stay in. Well, I'm in love with this region, so I came with my car especially because I wanted to travel around in the south and to get to the countryside, because I really miss that. Since I'm in Paris, I work and I work and I work, and I wouldn't see the countryside, and I'm very attached to nature. So I want to travel to the countryside and do just
and experience the not only the countryside, the landscape, but also the food, I guess.
Oh, yes, but that's something natural coming with it. Being here is going out to nice restaurants and having nice little dinners, very cool, having nice cheese and having simple regional cuisine.
Healthy cuisine, you know, as you know, Provencal cuisine is very healthy. Lots of olive oil, lots of
It's healthy.
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
better.
Makes you live 100.
Avec notre collègue chef pâtissier Laurent,
With our
nous allons
pastry chef
présenter un
Laurent,
petit plat
we're now
fort
going to
simple
show you a dessert that's so easy to make, a bowl of strawberries with Grand Marnier.
Il vous faut quelques fraises, du
So,
miel de
to make
Provence,
this, you need some strawberries,
du beurre,
honey from Provence, some butter,
des amandes grillées,
some
concassées,
crushed grilled almonds,
du sucre cristallisé,
crystallized
de
sugar,
la farine
flour,
et un petit jus d'orange,
and
ainsi
a
que
little
du Grand
orange
Marnier
juice, and of
et
course,
quelques feuilles de
Grand
menthe pour la
Marnier
présentation.
and a few fresh mint
Pour
leaves
les
for
ingrédients, pour les
presentation.
proportions, c'est fort simple.
For the proportions,
Il
it's
vous
very
suffit
easy.
d'avoir 160 grammes de
160
sucre,
grams of
et
sugar,
pour le reste,
and for the
60
rest,
grammes,
60
60
grams.
grammes, 60 grammes,
60
60
grams,
grammes,
60
et
grams,
encore 60
60
grammes.
grams, and 60 grams once again.
Il suffit simplement de mélanger tous ces produits.
All you need to do is mix all of these
Pendant
ingredients
ce temps,
together.
vous allez équeuter les fraises.
First of all, you top the strawberries,
Je vais faire fondre le beurre.
and you melt the butter.
Le beurre étant fondu, j'ajoute le sucre.
And once the butter is melted, I add the sugar,
Puis le jus d'orange.
then the orange juice,
Les amandes hachées.
the crushed almonds.
Pendant cette préparation, vous n'oubliez pas d'allumer
Now,
votre four à
don't
160,
forget to turn the
160
oven
degrés.
up at 160, 170 degrees.
Ceci constituera l'appareil de la coupelle.
So this is our mixture for the cup.
La coupelle. Étaler un petit peu.
Donc n'oubliez pas de mettre toujours juste une cuillère d'appareil
Don't forget to put just a spoonful of the mixture on the tray. It'll spread itself out, make a kind of nice lacework effect, and then we place the tray in the oven and we allow it to cook. Meanwhile, we put the pan onto the stove. We add a knob of butter.
Et là, vous faites rôtir vos fraises.
We roast the strawberries and we add the honey from Provence, of course.
Et vous faites rôtir ces fraises
And you continue roasting
quelques
them
minutes.
for a few minutes. And now you take a ramekin, which will help you to mold the cup. It's very hot.
Et appliquez-la sur le ramequin.
And you put this
La pâte
on the
devient
ramekin.
dentelle à la cuisson.
And it becomes a kind
Qui
of
s'étale toujours un peu.
network of lace.
Après avoir fait rôtir vos fraises, vous
After
les
you've
flambez.
cooked the strawberries, you flam them
Comme ceci.
like this.
Et les voilà,
And there
prêtes
they
à
are,
servir.
ready to serve.
De
And you
décorer la
can
coupelle
decorate
fraîche, par
the
exemple.
coupelle with some fresh mint.
Vous pouvez ajouter
You could
également
also add a
du
scoop
sorbet.
of fresh sorbet. And so there you have a coupelle of strawberries in Grand Marnier. Very easy to make. Have a good meal.
Donc on peut à tout moment
So at any moment, we could run into a Templar night.
Un Templier, voilà, et on
Yeah,
peut chercher son
Templar
trésor.
night, exactly. And we can go in search of the Templar treasures.
On peut chercher
trésor des
le
Templiers.
You
trésor
can
des
go in
Templiers.
search of the treasures. It's one of the main reasons for coming to the Chateau de Trigance. Go and find the Templar
Venez
treasures.
chercher le trésor Templier. Voilà.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. My pleasure.
Bonjour, je vais vous
Hello.
montrer la recette d'un
I'm going to show
cocktail.
you a recipe for a cocktail that we offer our guests here. It's called the chainmail, the Côte de Maille.
Comme son nom l'indique, c'est
As the
un
name
cocktail
indicates, it's a cocktail.
d'inspiration médiévale.
Well, we could say it's a
Pourquoi?
cocktail with a
Parce
medieval
que l'un de
inspiration.
ses
And why?
ingrédients est
Because one of the
Hippocrate.
ingredients is the
Attribué
Hippocras.
à Hippocrate,
Attributed to
3e siècle
Hippocrates in the
avant
3rd century before Christ, this elixir was brought across to the west by the Crusaders in the 11th century.
Hippocrate, c'est une macération
Hippocras is a
de plantes
maceration of plants and spices.
de pétales de rose,
It contains rose petals,
ici de clous de girofle,
cloves,
de la cannelle,
cinnamon,
de la cardamone
cardamom,
que vous avez là, et du gingembre.
and ginger.
Tous ces épices sont macérés
And
dans
all of
un
these
vin
spices
doux
are left to
naturel.
soak in a naturally sweet
Hippocrate
wine.
peut être bu comme apéritif,
Hippocras can be
très
drunk as
frais,
an aperitif,
mais
well chilled,
sans glace.
but without ice.
Il s'apprécie comme vin de
Or it can be
dessert.
appreciated as a dessert wine.
Ils utilisent dans leurs recettes.
Numerous
Alors,
chefs even
pour
use it
faire
in their
mon
recipes.
cocktail Côte de
So, to
Maille,
make our Côte de Maille chainmail cocktail, I take
mon shaker, je mets 30
my
glaçons
shaker and some ice,
et je rajoute
and I add
d'Hippocrate.
1 tot of Hippocras.
Alors ensuite, j'ajoute
And
un
then
trait de kirsch
I add a dash of kirsch,
fermier. Ensuite,
which is homemade,
je fais une demi-mesure
and then a
de
half
nitrate.
tot of nouilles pras,
Et j'ajoute
and
une
then
demi-mesure
a half measure
de martini.
of red
Vin de
martini,
vin doux.
a sweet wine.
Je vais faire mon shaker.
I close my shaker
Et alors, je secoue
and I shake it all together.
mon shaker et je verse dans la coupe évasée.
And then I serve it into a wide-brimmed glass.
Décoré.
And I decorate this with a slice of orange
Citron,
and a
Et-
slice of lemon.
une demi-rondelle d'orange. Voilà.
And there it
Un
is,
apéritif très
an
doux,
aperitif
très
which
frais,
is very
très
refreshing, very natural, original
La
and
Côte de
invigorating.
Maille,
La Côte de
Chateau
Maille,
de
Chateau de
Trigance.
Trigance.
À votre
Your very good health.